Hey guys, welcome. It has been a very long time since I've done a video. I have been very busy. My apologies for that. I have been traveling and teaching and helping people with their grief, and now I'm back and also survived illnesses and flus and things, but we're now back and we're kicking off, and this is going to be actually a good time of year. It's coming up to Halloween. This video may actually play for a lot longer than that, and we're going to be talking about intention today and what intention actually means and how important that actually is. So when we come right back, we're going to talk about this in terms of intention to communicate with the spirit world and intention to utilize tools, and how important that is, especially this time of season. And obviously, moving on from that as well, it is a little bit of a warning and also a little bit of an educational phase. So when we come right back, we're going to jump right into it. And thank you guys for listening as usual. And I look forward to sharing knowledge and wisdom. God bless. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I said before, we're going to talk a little bit about intent. And as we're coming up to the Halloween season, this is probably quite an important discussion actually to have. Now, when you think about intent is how we drive our life, really. I mean, you sit on the chair and you decide to stand up. You have an intention to stand up, or you decide that you're going to go shopping, and so you take action and you go shopping. Intent drives particularly most of our lives, because in order when we have an intent, an impulse to do something, then of course we take action upon that and we carry out that particular function. So we can have an intent to get up in the morning, and or some of us actually might not have an intent to get up in the morning. But intention plays a fundamental role in our lives. And intention is a very strong, powerful force, very strong impulse that can actually come from you, from your higher self, but also it can be an influence as well. And as we're coming up to the kind of Halloween season, this video is actually going to be the second video that we talk about in terms of the Ouija board, but also we're going to explain that intention away, not just from the Ouija board, but obviously moving on and utilizing intention to connect with the other side, because that is basically what it boils down to, whether it is utilizing a tool to do so or whether it is your intent in your mind. And as I said, intent is an incredibly powerful force within you. It drives a great deal of your material life, in actual fact, because you have as I said, you have an intent to do something, to sit up from a chair, to study, to eat. You have a feeling that you need to eat, and so your intention is to eat, and so in that intention fuels that impulse, and then you carry out the action to do something about it. But here's the thing, let's think about this in terms of the Ouija board. It boils down to this, ladies and gentlemen. The Ouija board is just a tool, as I've said before. It's a toy. It was a toy that was invented way back in the days, in the early 1900s. Even before that, we had earlier versions of divination tools. So we understand that it is not effectively that thing that has power. That the board does not have power. The tarot cards do not have power. It's the person wielding that force and utilizing that. Now here's the biggest thing and the biggest danger, especially when it's coming around the Halloween phase, as we are going into this time in fall. It's Halloween, and there's many people that will think it's very funny to delve in and dive in and perhaps have their own seance, perhaps get a Ouija board, buy a Ouija board and start to use it with their friends, and before you know it, they're drinking, and it's all a lot of fun until it's not a lot of fun. And how does that happen? Well, as I actually said, it's the tool in itself has no power. really, you know, whether it's a tarot card, whether it's a crystal. Well, actually, this is like crystals do have an inherent power. But if it's, you know, it's a book that you're reading out of, everything is based around your intention to open up to the spirit world. Your intention is a fuel. It's like the fuel in a car that fuels the engine that makes it go. And so what it boils down to is, if you decide to use a Ouija board, or you decide to communicate with spirit, or you decide to open yourself up, you are creating an intent. So in yourself, you have created that intention. That intention is a very powerful signal. It's a powerful driving force that in desire that you want to do something, or you want to open yourself up to this phenomena, or to the other side, so to speak. And you're sending that signal out there. Your intent is to carry out, you know, spirit communication. And whether it's through you meditating, or you opening yourself up, or you utilizing a tool like the Ouija board or tarot cards, the intention is the power in itself. And secondary to that, in actual fact, is you, because you may be of the makeup, the genetic makeup, or the energetic makeup, that you are more prone to spirit power, or you're more prone to spiritual interference or influence. And what that means is that you know, one person who is not sensitive to these power, you know, this energy as such, may not have much of an experience, and they may not actually feel anything. It doesn't mean that they won't get influenced. It doesn't mean that they won't, in actual fact, you know, feel some kind of change within them at some point. But if you're one of these people that's fairly sensitive, then that's where the danger lies, because when your intent is to open up and use a tool like the Ouija board, you're sending that signal out to those on the other side. And 99% of the time, nothing actually happens, you know, because most people don't hold enough power within themselves to be able to harness anything there. But obviously, you have a small faction, I would say, or a small element of people that are sensitive, and, you know, can put out those signals, and it may not necessarily be received by anything that is good, because that intent out there is to communicate. That intent out there is to make, the intention is to make connection with the other side of life, okay, in the realm of spirit. And as we know, in the realm of spirit, you have good levels, you have bad levels, you have good spirits, you have bad spirits. And when your intent is opened enough, and you're not strong enough in your development, you're not strong enough in your discernment, which is the important thing. You're not strong enough in your discernment. You are basically opening yourself up to say to all and sundry, I want to communicate with the other side, and I'm open and I'm willing, and please come and, you know, do it. And then what actually happens is, you may get a good spirit and you may get a bad spirit. And this is where the problem lies. The problem lies in the intention to be able to carry out that connection, or to cross yourself over into the paranormal realms, if you like. And it's very prevalent in, you know, certainly this time of year, and I would urge anyone to, you know, be very careful. Don't just think it's for fun and jump into these things for fun. But in a wider scheme of things, people who are grieving also have a deep intent to connect with the other side, and they will at times. I know people who have been grieving and have utilized the Ouija board. I know people who have been grieving and have utilized tarot, or they've utilized other tools to be able to connect on the other side, and they've done it with all the best will in the world, and help, you know, trying to get themselves as high a vibration as possible. But what sometimes you think your vibration is not in actual fact what you're putting out there. And it's the same when you're sitting with a group of people. There could be 3 or 4 people that have got, you know, high vibrations, and then there could be 3 or 4 people, you know, you've got 8 people in the group, and you've got 3 or 4 people there that have low vibrations, and they're you know, what they think they're giving out, they're not giving out. And so you have a weak connection in that chain. And that's all it takes for anything to be able to gain a foothold or try to gain entry, or try to start influencing you in some other way. And there's many cases in the past where, people have been using Ouija boards. I've had a case in the past where through grief they've utilised the Ouija board to try and connect with the other side, and it didn't go according to plan. And unfortunately, they got the bad end of it, and it didn't turn out, very good for them for quite a while. So your intent to communicate with the other side is an open-ended invitation, really. And when we talk about invitation, like we do when I talk about it in Deadly Departed, the invitation is very important. Sometimes you can invite without even knowing that you're inviting, and that's why I say to people, development is something that you take upon yourself. It's a journey, and it's a cross to bear, and it's not something you should take lightly. Even your meditation and stuff like that, there's inherent dangers in all aspects of life, both in the material realm and also in the paranormal realm. So understand that when you're utilizing a Ouija board, or you're utilizing any tool, or even through your grief, that you have an intention to connect with the other side, then you are sending out an open-ended invitation. And should you be developed enough that your discernment is strong enough that you can deal with it, and you can recognize the subtle changes in vibrations and when something's good or when something is bad, that's fine. But if you haven't actually developed, and you've not been trained well enough, or you have not sat long enough in your own particular development, and that's not just psychic development, mediumship, that's developing yourself, you as a human being, you as a spiritual being, all aspects of that, in your thoughts and your words and your deeds and your actions, all of these aspects are part of your development. And if there's an element there that's weaker because of some emotional turmoil or something else, then you leave an open-ended chink there in the armor. And so you need to be very, very careful. So what I would say to people is understand that your intention is incredibly powerful. How you deal with that intention is not something you should take lightly, and understand that when you have an intent for the other side, that you are opening yourself up to all possibilities, both good and bad. And if you've not been developing long enough to be able to understand or deal with that, then perhaps don't do it unless you're actually in the environment with a professional, mediums who have been developing over many years, who maybe understand it or can help to guide you. I wouldn't say anybody who's grieving should immediately start to utilize tools to connect with the other side. That's not a good thing to do. Seek out the advice of a professional and the help of a professional. Alternatively, make sure that you're guided in the right way, and that you kind of understand your own emotional point of attraction, because that's important. And for those of you that want to buy Ouija boards and start using Ouija boards, as I've said from the beginning, the Ouija board in the hands of a professional can be a tool that is used in order to focus that intention, to be able to make phenomena or to get information. It's not something I would ever use, even though I'm a professional medium. I never ever use a Ouija board. I never will. I've seen too many cases where it's gone wrong. So be very, very careful and don't take it lightly. There is many people who have opened up themselves to some terrible things through the use of the Ouija board. And there's been people who have used it and have used it successfully, but you're not them, right? The people that have used it successfully are few and far between. It's not something that I would go out and teach people to use a Ouija board or anything like that, because there's also a mass consciousness behind it. The intention to communicate on the other side is an open-ended invitation. Please remember that, guys. We'll go into this in more detail later on. But that was just, I wanted just to give you a little bit of a bringing up to date, especially as we're moving into this season. Please, if you're going into, the Halloween season and you want to go on a ghost hunt, or you want to go and do something that's kind of scary, just be very, very careful. Make sure that you take the right precautions and you are with the right professional people. And please do not use a Ouija board or any other tools to connect with the other side when you really don't know what you're doing, because as I said, it's an open-ended invitation and you can be inviting anything into your space. God bless.